Morning. It is about 10:30 a.m. in Arkansas. We've got beautiful weather this morning. It is Sunday. It's the first day of the week, and it's going to be a good day, I think. So I'm getting ready to go to the gym. I've got a weight goal to hit, and I got to make sure that I hit it because I've got some friends on Facebook I'm trying to compete with, and they're giving me a run for my money, so I've got to step it up. But most of you all know, I've talked about it before, that I'm a writer. I will spend time writing out my thoughts as opposed to making a video. I don't really like making videos. I don't like talking in front of a camera. I find it very awkward to talk in front of inanimate objects. But hopefully somebody will see this and go, hey, I feel like he's talking to me, because that's the intention behind it. But yesterday, I posed a question on Facebook about whether lemons were kosher or not. And I got a lot of really good feedback on that. And I think I've come to the conclusion that if life gives you lemons, you can still make lemonade and you're okay. But it kind of prompted another debate on my thread. And rather than writing a post about it or getting in an infamous Facebook debate over the topic, I figured I'd just come over and make a video. Because I think a lot of times meaning and intention will get lost in text and can be misinterpreted. So I wanted to make a video on the topic rather than getting a fight over Facebook. So I'm going to pose a very simple question. And it's kind of a silly question, so bear with me. I'm going somewhere with it. If you had been married for 40 years and your spouse looks at you one day and says, hey, I don't like it when you do this thing. It could be something as simple as, I don't like it when you kiss me on the neck, or I don't like it when you nibble my ears, or you pat me on the butt, or whatever it is, couples do, for fun, or to be, intimate, or whatever you want to call it. My question is, if they looked at you after being married for 40 years and said, I don't like it when you do this, what would your reaction be? Me personally, I would kind of wonder, why am I just now finding this out? And if they told you, well, I've been telling you this for 40 years and you just never pay attention, I would kind of question myself, going, well, what did you tell me? Where did I go wrong? I'm so confused. But my real question is, would you quit doing it? If your spouse told you after 40 years, hey, I don't like it when you kiss me on the neck, are you going to stop kissing her on the neck? I mean, it's probably a good idea. Even if it's on a divorce issue, even if she's not going to divorce you just because you kiss her on the neck, just because she doesn't like it, you're still probably going to go ahead and turn from your ways and change how you approach her. At least I would hope so. And that kind of brings me to my topic. If you found out that there was something that God didn't like, whether he's going to send you to hell over it or not, would you stop doing it? I would. That's a relationship that I don't want to hinder. It's a guy I don't really want to make mad. I want to walk in his ways and do what he wants me to do, whatever that is, whether I understand it or not. So the topic of conversation kind of came up and sparked the debate whether the Old Testament is done away with or not, because the Bible's kind of sectioned off into what we call the Old Testament, what we call the New Testament, and I would really argue that there is no such thing as the Old Testament versus the New Testament. There's the beginning, the Torah, where God, gives his law and says, hey, my people, I want you to do these things this way, and I don't want you to do these things. They said, okay, hey, cool. Then there's the prophets, where the prophets come and say, hey, this is what's going to happen, especially if you do not obey the law. And then there's the gospel, and then Revelation, and there's other sections. But the point that I'm trying to make is that if we're supposed to live our life by the Bible, and we're supposed to live our life by this book, and we say, well, the first 3/4 of it we just throw away, and we say it doesn't apply to our life anymore. It doesn't matter. That's kind of crazy. And I don't really know a nicer way to say it, but that's really just insane. To say, hey, This is my Bible that I carry with me to church, but only the last quarter of it is relevant to my life. That's literally crazy. There has been kind of a buzzword going around in conversations with people that I've spoken to, and that word is intentionally. I keep hearing people use it. I don't know if my ear just, for whatever reason, just continues to catch on that the word intentionally just kind of pops up very frequently. I spoke with someone that talked about how they're very intentional with what they buy for their home to cultivate the lifestyle that they want to live. I've spoken with someone else who said they're very intentional with their time and who they give it to. Another person said they're very intentional with their words. When you do things intentionally, you do things with an intention. So God doesn't waste his breath. God doesn't waste his time. God is very intentional. He's got a couple holidays out there that have a lot of symbolism and foreshadowing for things that are to come. And he doesn't waste effort. He's very intentional. So if I were God and I came down in a pillar of fire and I spent 40 years with my people, bringing them out of slavery, saying, hey, I love you people. You are my people. This is how I want you to do things. This is how I want you to operate. These are things that I want you to do. These are things I don't want you to do. I don't think that he's just going to go, never mind. Because that would be crazy. That would be absolutely insane for God to unintentionally come down, waste his time, speaking to people, telling them how to live, giving them the Torah, which translates into righteous rulings, which is the way you're supposed to live. Like, hey, if you do these things and you don't do these things, you will be righteous. He said in Deuteronomy, I bring before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing if you obey my laws, and a curse if you don't. He doesn't change his mind on that. Like, he's God. He doesn't backpedal and go, I was wrong. Like, that's insane. The Bible says that those who don't obey the law will be the least in the kingdom of heaven. It's in Matthew. Hold on. I think I had it pulled up here. Yeah. So Matthew 5:17. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. That's the Torah and all the books of the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. That doesn't mean that they go away. It just means that he's going to do what the prophet said he was going to do, and he's going to carry out the law. For truly I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one jot and not one tittle will pass away from the law until it is accomplished. I'm looking outside right now, and I see earth. It hasn't passed away. So we should probably still be doing the law. Therefore, whoever relaxes one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does these and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. I live just a couple miles away from the county jail. It's right down the road. I drive past it on a regular basis. And sometimes I'll see the prisoners out there mowing the lawn, tending to the garden, brushing the sidewalks, doing whatever it is they have been doing. Every one of those guys that are in jail, that are sentenced, they broke the law. They're still American citizens. They're still part of the country. But they're the least. Just because you break the law doesn't mean that you're no longer a citizen. But it means, well, you do the crime, you do the time. Now you're the least in the country. They've lost their freedom. They've lost their ability to do what they want to do. And to me, when I read that, that's kind of how I interpret that. I don't want to be the least in the kingdom. We were meant to be the head and not the tail. So why would we break the law? Why would we do anything that would cause us to be least in anything? Again, that's insane. And I don't know exactly how God's going to, what that looks like when the kingdom comes down on earth. But I'd hate to think that, I made it into heaven, but I'm on the Golden Street chain gang. having to sweep the roads and having to, do whatever. Again, I don't know for sure if that's how it's going to be, but whatever the least in the kingdom of heaven is, I don't want to do that. That sucks. Like, who wants to be least in anything? Who wants to be picked last on a team? Who wants to, like, no one wants to be least. We all want to be made great in some capacity. I don't know. But I imagine that there will probably be a slew of comments, and my inbox will probably maybe not be filled, but I'll probably get a couple messages on this. Because I know that there's a lot of debate as to whether we should still do those old-fashioned laws. But what sense does it make for God to spend 40 years teaching, showing, instructing his people to do things? If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and turn from their wicked ways, then I will be their God. Just for us to go, oh, we don't have to do those things anymore. And the argument that it's for the Jews is insane, because there were 13 tribes and some other Egyptians that just kind of tagged along saying, hey, like, look at their God, look what he's doing. We want to be part of that. They weren't all Jews. In fact, not even a quarter of them were Jews. It's not a Jewish thing. It's a Bible thing. It's a God thing. And if God's going to be displeased with me doing something, I'm going to want to know about it. Because just because you break the law and you didn't know about it, doesn't mean you're not subject to punishment. There's the saying, that cops have used before, ignorance is no excuse for the law. And they're right. Just because you don't know doesn't give you a pass. One of my Facebook friends posted a video a long time ago, and it's one of my favorite lines. She said, "You're an adult, you can read your own Bible." I love that. That is just an absolute beautiful phrase, and it's so true. You're an adult. You can read your own Bible. You don't have to listen to what your pastor says and hear his take and his commentary on it. You're an adult. You can read your own Bible and read it for what it says. Because if someone's going to make God mad, whether my pastor says it's okay or not, my pastor's not going to stand before me on the great judgment day and say, it's okay, God, I told him he could do this. Because those that teach lawlessness, they're going to be on that Golden Street chain gang. And it's going to suck. I don't know. I think that's all I've got to say. It's time to hit the gym. Because while so many people are out there getting ready for church, it is the first day of the week, and I've got work to do. Because that's how we do things. I love y'all. I'll keep praying for you.